Hey everybody, I am Michelle with Birdie Bloom, and today is the controversial video. I have been a little hesitant to do this video because I think it's going to upset a lot of people. Yeah, but I have a reason for deciding to go ahead and just do it. One is transparency, but I have my reasons and I'm gonna share them with you. And the controversy here is that I bought a counterfeit vintage Coach, and I knew it was counterfeit. I bought it intentionally, and I'm gonna explain why, but here it is. This is counterfeit, and we're gonna go over all the reasons why and the reasons as to why I bought it. But if you don't notice the shape yourself, what bag this was trying to replicate, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I have done a video on this style. It's the Rambler, or AKA original Rambler. We call it in the vintage Coach world, OG Rambler. And the reason for that is because Coach did put out later another Rambler, which was the Rambler's Legacy, which a lot of people call a Rambler, and it's not the same bag. This is a very different bag, very specific. And we like to call it the OG Rambler. Well, this one isn't, because it's not real. But that is what this is supposed to look like. This is what it's supposed to be. And I knew it wasn't when I bought it, and I'm keeping it. And I'm gonna tell you why. So, first, if you are interested in knowing what the original or OG Rambler actually looks like and its authenticity, you can check out my other video on it. I also talk about the Rambler's Legacy in another video, but I have something to actually correct in this video regarding that video, and we'll get into that. And that has to do with the style number inside the bag. It has to do with dating. We'll get into that. So something I discovered after that video. But this bag was deemed counterfeit. I guess the owner or seller probably knew and believed that to be true, and they decreased the price by 25%, or the price went down to a quarter of what it had been. And I saw it, and I thought the leather actually looked really good. I thought the leather was quality, even though the bag was in rough condition. I've looked at enough and I've gotten enough in hand that I can tend to tell if the pictures are good. I can tend to tell if the quality of leather is good or not from just the picture. And so I thought, one, the leather was good. Two, it was the first, for me, counterfeit original Rambler that I had seen. And three, I was curious. I was really, really curious about how this compared to real Coach, because most of the counterfeits that I've received are really poor leather. The leather is not the same quality. They are worthless in my opinion. I have no interest in them. They just maybe have a similar shape for the most part. There have been a couple. I would say that Ergo that I showed does have decent leather, though it's still not quite the same. And in the video I did on that red bag, and I forget the name of the bag, where I kind of talked about some common counterfeit prefixes. Sadly, I sent that bag back, and I mean, it was counterfeit. I was never gonna sell it, and I didn't really desire to use that style, but the fabric stitching, the fabric on the zipper was so contrast to the actual red bag. So the leather was really good, but the rest of it was really not. So, but I could have reused that leather for something else now that, that's kind of being done. So I'm a little sad about that because it was kind of cheap, but I did send that one back. I have been stuck with a lot of counterfeits though, and their leather sucks. So anyways, thought this leather was good. And then the other thing was that I have actually been searching for an OG Rambler to use for myself. That is in rough condition. I wanted to use it kind of like as a workhorse, and I haven't found it yet. I haven't come across one, not for the price that I want to pay, for the type of work I want to put it through. I did come across one that was new with tags, and I just couldn't use it the way that I really wanted to, so I did resell that particular bag. That was the only other OG Rambler that I've ever come across. And I've mentioned that the bag is smaller in person than it appears in pictures, which is crazy. But I rewatched that video and I still think that bag looks massive in the video, but it is so much smaller in person. It's wild. So yeah, all of those factors. So I guess that's 4. Could tell the leather quality was good. I was curious. I wanted the style. What was my other one? I already forget. But anyways, that's what led me to knowingly purchase a counterfeit. So what do I intend to do with it? I do intend to actually use it. And I'm also going to remove all Coach things, the hang tag for one. I don't have that on the bag. I already started using this bag. Actually, the hang tag leather is even really good quality, but here it is. I'm gonna show you something real quick. It'll be one of your tips for whether your hardware or whatnot is authentic. And watch this. That shouldn't happen. That's a magnet, and solid brass, which these chains should be, they should not attach to a magnet. Solid brass is not attached to magnets, but other metal does. And you will notice that also on here, the hardware here, which is also much thinner and cheaper. It's actually really poor quality. The leather is good. The stitching is actually really good. Some of the edging is actually really, really good, but the hardware is terrible. And then here, the turn lock, sorry, I know you hear my dog. He's whining to go out, even though he just whined to come back in. So give me a minute, I'll be right. So indecisive. And then the turn lock. And here's a tip with the turn lock. So I think if I remember correctly, this actually was, yep, that doesn't attach to the magnet. So this portion of the turn lock, this female portion is solid brass, which means it will clean up really well. Look at, it has a normal backing too. Sometimes the backing in counterfeits will have the divots on the back plate, which is a sign of counterfeit. Sorry, it's not focusing. You see how, yep, that backing is normal. So that actually looks like normal, but this bag isn't, again, in fact, counterfeit. I'll show you the creed in a minute. But if you can see, this is actually worn off to a silver base metal. So that for one. But when I tell you that solid brass should not attach to a magnet, the problem though is if you just test your turn locks, that's not accurate, even though I know this isn't solid brass right here. And that's because of the spring component. So even your solid brass turn locks will attach to a magnet because of the spring component on the inside. So can't really test that fully, but this is already worn off to a silver metal. So I know that that was just a coated metal. So, yep. So that was bad. Oh, and then another part of the hardware that's bad is this zipper. You will not see this zipper, this plastic zipper pull, not the, you will see nylon zippers. That's not the problem. It's this pull that is not Coach. You will never see that. And what does that say on there? It might even say, yeah, that's even a YKK zipper. There's that misconception that Coach only used YKK, or if it has YKK, it's authentic. This is even a YKK zipper. I don't know, it's painted brown. It feels plastic. That won't be seen in a true vintage Coach. But here's the creed, and as you can see, this creed has a common, that 0444-317. It's a common counterfeit fake number. That is a really bad overstamping. I have a video on overstamping, and you should really check it out because it can really help you to quickly identify bad fakes, in my opinion, and good authentic bags. If you learn that overstamping and how to look for it, it can quickly help you in a pinch to determine if a bag is authentic or not, if the bag has an overstamp. Not all do. So anyways, just to point that out really quickly, Under the 3 should be a 4, and you see a straight line. And a 4 does not have a straight line at the top of it, does it? So that is one quick way to see that that is a bad overstamp, if you didn't already know that that stamp is a common counterfeit. And to go further into that creed, you can see that scratches is spelled incorrectly. You will not see misspellings in the vintage Coach, not in the authentic ones. So scratches here is spelled S-C-R-T-C-H-E-S. It's missing its A. And there's other things such as like this. You won't see that in an authentic Coach. You see how the strap is kind of just like attached. It happens to be the original length, 43 inches, which is what the original Rambler strap length was. It happens to be that, but you won't see it attached like that. It would just be one big piece of leather. And now, honestly, I don't remember. I don't think it did. I don't remember if the original Rambler, I'll say yes or no, it did or didn't here just by making a comment. I don't remember if it had rivets in its strap. Probably not, but I don't recall. I will make a comment. Yeah, so definitely fake. But were my assumptions that the leather was actually pretty good leather? Were they right? And they were. The leather is really, really good. Here's a picture of the bag before I did anything to it. And, you know, kind of looked rough, a little dingy. And all I did, guys, all I did was buff in one coat of leather CPR into this bag. And this is how she looks now. I think I have the wrong, maybe, video thing on right now. I'm just trying to get you some good pictures. I'm gonna do more to her, but like she just looked really, really dry at the top, and now she kind of absorbed that conditioner and she doesn't look super dry anymore. You can see these like leather stretch marks in it. Yeah, I think the leather and construction overall is pretty decent. It doesn't appear to be as wide as the original Rambler. That is something that's also a little different, but it's relatively a similar size. So yeah, I said, oh, and here's a picture. I just wanted to share this with you guys. A lot of people are afraid of getting bags wet, and I know this isn't a real Coach, but I do this to my real Coach bags too, and it was a good example. I took this bag to the beach. I actually put my computer in it. It doesn't quite fit the best, so I'll find other things to do. I wish it fit a little bit better, but I did take my computer in it. And also what I ended up doing is taking this bag out. Here's a picture actually with me, like the outfit I wore with the bag. I was going to like an aquarium. It was pouring down rain, and I was bringing stuff like different clothing for my boys, waters, snacks. I had stuff stuffed in there for the boys. And so it ended up being a great size for that. And it was pouring down rain. So one, I wasn't really worried about it because, well, it's not real anyways. And I did condition it. This is what the bag looked like when it got caught in the rain. And this is how it dried. I didn't do anything to it. I just let it dry, you know? So it's not in great condition as of now because I haven't finished it, but it's actually in wearable, in my opinion, condition for what I want to use it for. So removing all of the Coach hardware. And what about that creed? That creed's like on a back pocket that doesn't flip out. It's not an easy thing to remove. Well, I have many ideas for it. I've thought about doing cross stitching on the inside to create a pattern, maybe a floral pattern or something else, maybe a bird pattern, but doing some cross stitching on the leather on the inside to completely obstruct the creed, and it would give this bag just a cute little thing on the inside, make it usable, a usable leather bag. I've also thought about patches, purchasing leather patches. My sister has actually like an engraving machine for leather. I could have something engraved that would be a leather patch and then sew that around nicely on the inside to completely obstruct the creed. I don't want anyone to think it's a vintage Coach. I'm not going to. I just want to use it as a leather bag. I'm going to appreciate the leather that it is, and yeah, and keep it out of the landfills, out of the trash. Also keep an innocent person from purchasing this bag, perhaps paying a lot of money for it and it not being authentic, but then thinking it is. I want to keep that from happening. Yeah, and that is what I am going to do. I don't necessarily get all worked up about
counterfeits on the resale market that are like found, you know, by people who are like in Goodwills and whatnot. I don't think people should sell counterfeits knowingly. I think we should do our research and make the efforts to not do that. But I don't think these people are counterfeiters. You know, I don't think people who are reselling counterfeits are necessarily counterfeiters. They're a person who bought a counterfeit bag too in the resale market. They're not supporting that industry. That industry is no longer receiving any of that money. I will say I do not support any of the counterfeit industries for current bags. I get advertisements on this page regularly. People comment to advertise those types of websites on a daily basis, and I erase them. I don't support that. I have no interest in looking at it. I'm not going to do it. But as far as things that are kind of already floating around out there, if you're not paying too much, and it's something that I guess works for you, I'm not upset about it. But I do encourage you to try to remove any of the coachness, you know, in it, anything that's trying to show you, hey, this is Coach. I do encourage you to remove that because it's not. And I don't want anyone to be fooled later, right? So, controversy, right? I know a lot of people aren't gonna like that. Like, oh my God, you have like a zillion vintage Coach, Michelle. Why are you carrying a counterfeit Coach bag? Why? And that's because I'm not gonna call this a Coach bag. I'm not gonna call it my counterfeit Coach bag. It's gonna be my leather bag. When all is said and done, it's not going to say Coach in it anywhere. So that is why. It's just gonna have kind of the look of a Coach bag. And there are other lines that are not counterfeits that did just that. And I have purchased those over the years. I do have some. Maybe I'll do a video because I was curious, wanted to compare. Guys, vintage Coach is so much better than any of them, really, across the line. Even when we're talking about Bonnie Cashin from Myers, I am obsessed with Bonnie Cashin. I do spend money on Bonnie Cashin bags, but the Bonnie Cashin from Myers, some of the leather is good, but most of it is really not. It's actually really bad. It's disappointing, but the design aspect of Bonnie Cashin is so amazing that I'm like, yeah, I'll buy this bad leather bag. This is Bonnie Cashin in it. Yes, please. Thank you. There are many subpar, authentic lines that try to look like Coach and aren't, but you know, that all exists. So we'll just say that this is one of those eventually. So yeah, comment what you think about that. Oh, I did want to mention, I think take this back to the beach. It's going to be another rainy beach trip. And this is going to be a girls only trip. I wasn't going to take it, but I think I'm going to actually stuff my computer. I said I was going to make a correction about my original Rambler video. So in that video, I had stated at the time that I believe Coach had stopped making the original Rambler before 1994 because you did not see the style number, which is, here is an original Rambler, style number 9735 catalog photo. Mainly it was just made in the late 80s, and it doesn't appear to have had, again, that style number in it at any point. However, ironically, after that video, either 2 or 3 popped up in the market. And I will tell you, in 1999, Coach did bring back the original Rambler. It might have been they really sold it in 2000. I'm not sure, but 1999 when it was manufactured in the B factory, they did absolutely bring that total design back. And so that bag from 1999 does have the style number 9735 in it. And I will tell you, which is another reason why I ended up buying this. And this happened years ago, at least a year ago. I don't know when I did that video. Again, it all happened shortly after that video. I should have done a video after it with this particular bag, but I bought one. I bought a 1999 Rambler, original Rambler. I was so excited and I paid up for it. At the time, it was just around 200. You know, prices have skyrocketed, so they're even more. It didn't look like it was in the best shape, but
it was black and it was 200. And I was like, you know what? It had silver nickel hardware. I just thought, this is great. I don't really have a lot of bags like that. I have no black with silver nickel hardware. I want an original Rambler. I'm gonna, and I think this is even more unique than the original Rambler made in the 80s because this was only brought back at this time. And it's the only year that they had the style number in it. I just thought it was all neat and unique, so I was willing to spin it. But sadly, when the bag came, it was coated in shoe polish. So it was dirty, and on top of it, coated in shoe polish. And I was just like, I just can't right now. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of, like, why would somebody think this looks okay? Why would somebody think it was okay? I would much prefer that bag come all scuffed up and dirty because I could have totally made it beautiful than just to have been slathered in thick, nasty shoe polish. And I was so sad and I was so disappointed. And yes, I returned it. And I was so, I couldn't even do a video on it. I didn't want who I was returning it to feel like I just purchased it to do a video. For one, I don't know if they even knew me, but there's the possibility that could look like that, right? And I was sad. I was sad. So I didn't do a video, but I wanted to cover that topic. I was wrong. I said I might be wrong in that video. I said I just hadn't seen one yet, and then they popped up. So, sorry, water. Tell me what you think about my counterfeit. I know, am I gonna be shamed? Are people gonna disown me? Are you gonna say, oh, Michelle isn't really a true vintage coachie? I don't know, you might. It's okay. I am just wanting to be truthful. There are things that I guess you could do with your counterfeits. I see all sorts of counterfeits out there. People end up stuck with. So how about like make something pretty on the inside, cover it up. Maybe you can use it again. Maybe you could do something with it. It doesn't have to be Coach. It doesn't have to represent Coach, but it can be something that doesn't need to be put in our mountain of trash, you know? That's how I got into vintage Coach, was reusing, recycling, shopping used. That's how I found it to begin with. It's kind of my passion anyways, so it kind of really just goes along with that. And also going along with the passion, I don't want people to be fooled. So this one's not gonna fool anybody anymore, right? Yeah. Well, do you like the video? Give me a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel for more Vintage Coach bag talks. I'll actually talk about Vintage Coach maybe next time. But I did want to get this controversial video out because I knew that I mentioned a while ago that I was going to have one coming, and here it is. And I know I haven't been putting out videos as regularly as usual. I'm very sorry. I'm trying, but there we go. So this is what I got. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.